IAS Academy.
Hello all, welcome to IAS Academy and welcome back to the program Editorial Daily, where we deal with editorial analysis, which enriches your perspectives and enhances your answer writing. So let's get started with our today's session. Yes, the first article for today is how schools can tackle the adolescent malnutrition. Adolescent malnutrition. Okay, so we are going to discuss a very important, this is a public health issue where this article reminds us that malnutrition is not only, like, you can say, malnutrition is not only concerned in is not limited to the hunger or the undernutrition. Now India is facing a double burden of malnutrition. India is facing a double burden of malnutrition. Okay, so while many children remain the undernourished, obesity and lifestyle diseases are increasing rapidly among these adolescents. Okay, rather than the big, I mean, the aged people and all, now adolescents are also facing this obesity issues. The lifestyle diseases are increasing very rapidly in our India. Okay, so why is this issue important? Why would we take this as an important issue? Means the latest NFHS report, the latest, the NFHS, the sixth report of 2023 to 24, the financial year, it shows a worrying rise in the obesity and high blood sugar. Okay, high blood sugar in the sense high bp, I mean high blood sugar, high bp, and the what you say, obesity is also one of the major disease which has been just a second, obesity is also one of the thing which has been rising in the children and adolescents. Okay, so these diseases do not suddenly appear in the adulthood. They basically its roots often lies in the adolescence, so making schools the ideal place for the preventive interventions. Okay, so when we understand the changes which is the nature of the malnutrition which is occurring is, traditionally malnutrition meant being underweight. Today it also includes the overweight, includes malnutrition. Basically, when we see in the previous days, we consider it as to be a underweight in the children now, but it is gaining the overweight. Children are gaining overweight and obesity, hidden hunger due to the micronutrient deficiencies in the body, and the thin fat phenotype, where children who appear in but the children who appear thin but they have an unhealthy body fat and metabolic risks, though the people who appears thin and lean also, they are facing this obesity problems nowadays. Okay, so this reflects the nutritional transition which is driven by the unhealthy diets and the sedentary lifestyles. Okay, yes, let us look into this article completely and let us see how this topic can be linked to our GS papers and all. Okay, yes, let's see. The topic is how schools can tackle the adolescent malnutrition, which is which is given by the authors named Subbarao M. Gayavarapu. He's a scientist in GICMR NIN, and Mrs. Bharati Kulkarni. She is the director of ICMR NIN, which is the given in the source of National Daily Opinion page in the Hindu. Okay, so how can we link this article to the topics of our GS paper is, we can link to our GS paper 2, which is the governance and social justice and the issues which is relating to the development and management of social sector or services relating to health, education and human resources. This is where we can link this article in our GS paper 2 topic. In GS paper 3, we can link this article to economic development, which is in particularly to the issues of food security, direct or indirect crop patterns, and technological missions in health or nutrition. Okay, now let us see the context of the topic. When coming to the context of the topic, a classroom refill across the country. Because after the post summer the schools has been started, right? So a classroom refill across the country breaks India faces a silent public health emergency where this adolescent malnutrition is taking place. So recently the report which is released by the NFHS 6 in the year 2023 to 24 data and long term projections by the Lancet highlight the alarming surges in the obesity, metabolic syndrome and the lifestyle diseases. So these shifts are no longer confined to the urban elites now, but are rapidly penetrating into the rural communities as well. Basically, before it used to be like urban lifestyle and all, but no, it no more the urban lifestyle. It is now, it's been penetrating to the rural communities also. Okay. Yes. Coming to the introduction of the topic, which we can take up is adults and malnutrition in India is a double burden crisis to India, where the undernutrition coexist with risk obesity and metabolic disorders. Okay, so rapid dietary transitions and the sedentary lifestyles and the spread of the ultra processed foods (UFSs) are driving a silent metabolic time bomb in our bodies, right? So schools therefore must transform into health promoting ecosystems through the nutrition focused interventions, physical activity promotions, and the strong policy support. All the schools should persist this, because it is not only the study, simultaneously with the study, the schools also have to implement few physical activity promotions. They have to give a nutrition focused interventions and all, and a strong policy support for the children. Okay, so a collective effort today can promote project I mean the protect the India's future workforce and save the nation from a chronic disease epidemic tomorrow. Okay, this is what the introduction you can write up. Then let's see what are the core crisis and what is this double burden and what is this metabolic time bomb which has been stated in this article is, if you see the thin fat phenotype, as we spoke, the thin fat phenotype, though the person is very lean and very thin, you can see this the fat which has been accumulated in the body. Okay, this is how the persons will is being with suffering with obesity due to this I mean, you can see unprocessed foods and all. Okay, see, India adolescents frequently display a unique phenotype where the children appear thin or lean. They appear to be thin or lean extremely, but harbor high visceral fat and adult level metabolic risks internally. It's not that only not like children are facing the problems which are associated to adults also, because of this foods and the malnutrition which is being taking place in their body. So coming up to the key statistics which have been released by this report is, see, CNNS 2019 says that 27.4 percentage of Indian adolescents are stunted. They are stunted. Simultaneously, 35 percentage of children under 5 are stunted yet carry adult level triglycerides. Okay, so this NFHS 6 states that the NFHS 6 report of 2023-2024 says that obesity among women which is aging 15 to 49 years has risen from 24 percentage to 30.757 percentage, and among men it increased from 22.9 percentage to 27.3 percentage. See the years, it is not that from 30 or 40, it is between 15 years to 49 years. In this graph, in this period of age only, when compared to male and female, this is the percentage. Okay, so high blood sugar numbers among youth have surged similarly. Okay, so the Lancet report which is given in 2025 projection, it predicts that 21.8 crore men and 23.1 crore women in India will be overweight by 2050. By 2050, this number of women and men would be obese, with the steepest tragedy among the adolescents and young adults which are aging between 15 to 24, not less, not more. It is, see the age which is which they are talking about, 15 to 24 years of age, people become obese by 2050. Okay, this is what the Lancet report is being telling. See, we have talked about the metabolic time bomb. What is this metabolic time bomb of? It is the rising obesity, insulin resistance, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes in the adolescents. Okay, which predicts a future surge in cardiovascular diseases, kidney disorder, and the mental health issues. This is what we can tell about in the metabolic time bomb. Okay, Next, coming to the structural drivers of malnutrition, what are the structural drivers of malnutrition? Is first is the dietary transmission. The first is dietary transmission. Like everyone you wants to eat like this, right? No one prefers to eat like this, but have to prefer to eat in this way, having the green leafy vegetables in your nutrition. Okay, so shift from the traditional nutritional models to high cereal heavy diet lacking proactive micronutrients and proteins. Okay, so milk, green leafy vegetables, and fruits remain the whole food inadequate. Okay, yes. The next is rise of this UPFS and UFSS. This ultra processed foods and this ultra processed food, high fat, sugar, and this salt contented foods, and all have to be banned, because see, the ultra processed food consumption in India is accelerating a component annual growth rate of 13.7 percentage. Okay, so high fat, sugar, and salt content items are systematically displacing diverse food groups. Okay, next. Next is the sedentary behavior. In the sense, people are not moving at all. Coming to when we see this, what you called um, the software engineers or someone working in the near the laptop, they doesn't move very much, so they sit in a place, a very sedentary behavior they have. Like see, the proliferation of screen heavy routines in adults, since lack of structured physical education and active play in formative year depends the risk. Because see, when children also during summer holidays, they don't even go out for playing and all. Few children, not all, they sit in the home, they play video games, they sit at the place and play the video games, they play in the mobile and all. These are what causing few I mean this obesity problems and all. Okay, so remaining the we can say this remaining schools as a public health interventions, like see, a dietary redesign, like upgrade the midday meals like PM portion to be nutrient rich and diverse. Okay, and regulate the the school canteens as per the ICMR dietary guidelines for Indians 2024. Half the plate of by volume of fruits and vegetables, not the rice, this and that. Okay, next is the second one we can tell is experimental nutrition like literacy. Okay, like move beyond the theory to skill based interventions, to introduce the food label reading kits, understanding the portion sizes, and identifying the misleading marketing tricks also have to be done in the school itself. Next is the structural accountability, like you can see here, the sugar board, amount of sugar per 100 ml, how much it is being taking and all. Okay, see, it creates the visible sugar boards in the school canteens. In school canteens, this have to be taken place. So it displays the hidden sugar content of the commercial beverages and enable the informed choices. Okay. Next is the mandatory physical activity, which has to be there in every school, like formalized structural physical activity and sports, male physical education, and non-negotiable core part of the curriculum. Okay. Next is the holistic support systems, like integrated mental health, nutrition counseling, and regular health screenings have to be done, and have to build a supportive ecosystem for the overall adolescent well-being. This is have to done in the schools. Okay, for the public health interventions. Okay, yes. Coming to the institutional framework, when we see, let's fix our food. Let's fix our food, we can say, like LFOF. Like see, the ICMR NIN initiative is let's fix our food. This is the initiative which is brought up by ICMR NIN, which is led by the Indian Council of Medical Research with the National Institute of Nutrition. The Let's Fix Our Food initiation acts as a temple for healthy food environments. Template for healthy food environments. Okay. Yes, what is it of means? It advances the evidence based policies and the nutrition standards, and it campaigns for regulatory framework. Example, front of pack labeling, front pack, I mean, when a food is there, when you consider a biscuit packet or a chocolate, on the front of it, it has to have the labels and the brand besides, because this labels and all, what are the contents are available, and what is the sugar content, what is the carbohydrate content, what is the fat content, everything should be in the front of the pack, not in the back of the pack. It is said by the ICMR NIM. Okay, next is restricts the HFSS advertisements targeted at children, and it also advocates for fiscal taxation of unhealthy beverages. Okay, now in this standards, how can you conclude this article is schools are not merely educational centers, they possess the potential to act a powerful public health promoting vehicle. Okay, so this transacting schools into UPF free zones through a unified national policy, it is a critical policy step which has to be taken by the protecting a child from unhealthy diets today ensures that they do not automatically become a chronic healthcare patient tomorrow. So saving futures, state resources and maximizing the India's demographic dividend. This is what the conclusion which you can write. And the key terminologies for the answer writing which we can take up from this article is double burden of malnutrition, which is like the coexistence of the undernutrition, which is stunting or wasting, along with the overnutrition, which is the obesity or the overweight within the same country, community, or the individual. This is what you call the double burden of malnutrition. Next is the thin fat phenotype, which is a unique profile prevalent in the South Asians, which are categorized by a low BMI but a high proportion of body fat, making them which is making them highly susceptible to early onset of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular diseases. This is what you can tell about the thin fat phenotype. The next keyword you can key terminologies which you can take up is HFSS and UPFS. Okay, these are industrially formulated foods which are high in fats, sugars and sodiums, which are engineered with the additives to be the hyper palatable, displacing whole nutrient dense foods. Okay, next is the UPF free school zone. UPF free school zone is one more terminology which you can take up, which is a protective regulatory approach that bans the distribution, sale and advertisement of the ultra processed foods inside and directly around the educational institutions. This is called UPF free school zones. The last one is the nutrition literacy. Okay, which is empowering the individuals with the practical skills like such as the analyzing the nutritional labels and recognizing the portion size to make the informed choices rather than depending on the theoretical health guidelines. This is what you call nutritional literacy is. Okay, these are the few key terminologies, and we have seen the introduction and conclusion of the topic, and body also we have seen what we can take up from this article. Okay, yes, next let's move on to the next article. Yes, the another article for today is, will a survey error threaten the credibility of government schools? Okay, so this is one of the another important issue which is concerning the government schools education, data quality and the public policy which has been taking place. So this article questions whether a survey error has created a misleading impression that government schools in rural India are charging fees. Are these government schools are charging the fees in the rural areas? Okay, so despite the Right to Education Act, it is guaranteeing the free education. So what we can say is the controversy arises after the comprehensive modular survey, which is the Education CMSE 2025. Okay, so which is conducted as a part of 80th round of the National Sample Survey. 80th round of the National Sample Survey, that is NSS. Okay, so which reported that around 27% of students in the government schools were paying course fees. It says that 27% of the government school students are paying the course fees. This finding has raised the serious concerns because the government schools are legally expected to provide free education up to class 8. Up to class 8, the government schools have to provide the free education. Okay, so the key question is, are government schools actually charging fee, or if there is a problem with the survey data? This is what the question is being raised. Okay, so the author in this article, they argue that the findings are inconsistent with government policy and are likely influenced by the survey related errors. It is saying that it is not that government is taking the fee, it is blaming the survey related issues. Okay, rather than the actual fee collection. So what are the possible reasons or displacements which we can discrepancies which have come up is, first is the misinterpretation of the term or course fees. So respondents may have included the expenses like the private tuition, coaching, examination costs, uniform, books or transport, even though the survey intended to capture only the school related fee. Okay, so the second cause might be the second discrepancy might be like limitations of the digital data collections or the state level inconsistencies and all. Okay, so basically why this has to be mattered means, when coming to the reliable data forms the basis of the government policy, the budget allocation, the educational reforms and the public trust. So if inaccurate data is accepted without the verification, it may fairly damage the reputation of the government schools, and it can also make the policy makers may take the wrong decisions based on the incorrect evidences, and citizens may lose the confidence in the official statistics. Okay, so this is what the main concern is. Okay, let us see what is this article is about and how can we link this to our GS paper of the mains. Okay, let's see. And yes, the topic of this goes like, will a survey error threaten the credibility of the government schools? The author is Anish Gupta, Gaurav, and the Deepthi Kushwaha. Okay, this is the source which from the data point session. Okay, and how can we link this article to the topics is, for GS paper 2 we can link this article to the governance and social justice, which is the issues relating to the development and management of social sector or services which are related to the education and human resources mechanism, law, institutions and the bodies constituted of the for the protection and betterment of vulnerable sessions. Okay, this is in the GS paper 2. In GS paper 3, how can we link this article is the evaluation of the institutional data collection, policy formulation and the evidence based governance frameworks we can link this article to. Okay, now let us see the context of the topic. When coming to the context of this topic, we can say is, it is a written question which is raised in the Rajya Sabha, highlighted a startling finding from the comprehensive modular survey, where the education like CMSE conducted as part of the national sample survey 80th round, it is held in the April to June 2025. So the survey has reported that 27% of the students in the government school are paying fees including the admission, tuition fees and examination and the development charges also. Okay, this is what the report has been stating. So this findings has directly contradicts the mandate of the Right to Education Act, which guarantees the free and compulsory education for all the children up to age of 14. Okay, so how can we write an introduction of this topic is, see, the finding that students in the government schools are paying the fees is which is raising the serious concerns about the data accuracy and the policy implications. So if accurate, it indicates a potential violation of the RTE Act. It flawed, it indicates a survey and a methodology which lapse that could mislead the policymakers and damage the credibility of the public education. So this editorial analyzes the contradictions in the survey findings, which is possible for the data error and for their policy implications. Okay, this is how you can write the introduction for this topic. When you see the core contradictions and the data findings from this is, let's see. The first one is the anomalous fee structure. Anomalous fee structure, like say average course fee. Average course fee, like for government schools in rural areas, it takes 10,000 plus. But in private schools, it is lower than that. Among the students who are reporting the course fee above 10,000, the average course fee which has to be paid in the government schools in rural areas was unexpectedly higher than the paid in the private schools. Okay, this is what the fee structure has come up. And coming to the interstate disparities, the share of students with no course fee in government schools, like 0% in Ladakh, 2.6% in Tripura, 43% in West Bengal, and 53% in Kerala. Okay, so several states have reported abnormally the low proportions of students who are receiving the completely free education in the government schools. So the share of the students with no course fee was 0% in the Ladakh, 22.6% in Tripura, 43% in West Bengal, and 53% in Kerala. Okay. Now, coming to the rural urban, urban consolations is, see, when coming to the Himachal Pradesh, in Himachal Pradesh, the percentage of students with no course fee in the government schools was 55.6 percentage. 55.6 percentage. So in rural areas, when compared to 78.3 percentage in the urban areas. So a pattern that is completely inverse to the standard public expectations. Rather than in the public sector schools that are government schools, urban areas have the high non-paying childrens. Okay. Yes, coming to the possible methodology problems, what is the errors which can be the possible, what are the errors of this what might be the causes of these errors in the data, we will see. So the article basically argues that these findings are likely a result of data collection and structural survey errors rather than the actual policy violations. Okay, the first one, it would be this semantic ambiguity, the tuition fees. So the survey defines that course fees to include school-based fees like admission, tuition, examination, development charges. Okay, so however, the respondents often colloquially misinterrupt the tuition fees to mean payments for private coaching or supplementary education outside the school. Okay, next, the second mislead can be CAPI constraints, that is computer assisted personal intervening. Like, see, the 80th round of the NSS transitioned fully to digital data entry on tables using CAPI. Okay, so, unlike the paper-based surveys where the enumerators could leave blank for the non-responses. So, CAPI, what it does, it rigidly forces the enumeration to input a value before the moving to the next screen. Okay, next. This forced entry design can lead to the enumerators to enter random or the arbitrary data points, which is merely to clear the block error. Okay, question block. Okay, yes, this is one of the major constraints, it can be happen. Next is the technical distortions, in the sense the system failures like autocorrect, input promotes, and the rigid sequential questionnaire flows can inadvertently disrupt the record responses. Okay, so such technical artifacts may inflate the free reporting figures even when non-actual fee is being charged. Okay, yes, when coming to the policy implications of it, if we can see the policy misdirections, like, see, the distorted data can lead to the deeply flawed policy analysis, giving a false impression that public education infrastructure is failing to provide a free access. Okay, next one is the reputational damage. Obviously, when this data has come up with the false allegations and all, basically the government schools reputations may fall, like they are taking fee and also the unverified survey findings, which tarnishes the institutional credibility of state run schools and teachers, which are creating the public disrupt and lowering the community confidence. Okay, the next is lack of accountability. This is one of the things, like, see, Despite being flagged in the parliament, neither the central government nor the state government has initiated the violation studies to correct the narrative. Okay, yes, this is what the policy implications also which we can talk about. Coming to the conclusion of the topic, which how we can write up this conclusion for this topic is the first thing: while data digitalization via tools like CAPI, which facilitates the faster processing, it introduces this systemic rigidness also that require the careful validation. Okay, if these findings are accurate, they reveal a illegal extraction of fees violating the Right to Education Act. Okay, so they are flawed, they are represent a serious data integrity lapse. Okay, yes, the government must urgently conduct a targeted investigation to ensure that survey errors do not inadvertently derail the public education policies or unjustly damage the reputation of state infrastructure. Okay, let's see a few key terminologies for the exam which we can take up. The first one is comprehensive modular survey education, CMSE, which is a specialized survey round conducted by the National Statistic Officer, NSO, to gauge the educational expenditure, the literacy, and cross-sectional enrollment matrices across the India. Okay. Next is the computer assisted personal intervening, CAPI, which is a digital data collection method where enumerators record their interview process, responses directly onto a electronic device, which is the tablet or a smartphone or a laptop, which is replacing the traditional paper schedules. Okay. Next, the next key terminology which you can take up is non-response error or forced entry bias, like a survey vulnerability where the technical systems do not permit a blank or missing fields, obviously. So the advertently compelling the surveys to fill inaccurate data to proceed. If they wanted to proceed to a next case, first of all this page has to be filled. It doesn't take any blanks or any what you called missing, leaving the missing fields and all. So obviously if you wanted to move to another one, you have to add some value. So enumerates are doing that. Because of this, leaving this paperwork behind, they are coming up in the digitalization form. Okay, next is the evidence based policy formulation, where the governance practice of designing law, financial outlays, and the social welfare program, which is based on the rigorously verified statistical data rather than raw unveiled survey figures. Okay, this is what we can take up from this article. Okay, yes. So we have seen the articles for today, and the both the articles which have highlighted a common message, like schools are not merely the center of education; they are institutions that shape the future of the society. So whether it is an addressing adolescent or adolescent malnutrition, or ensuring the credibility of education data, schools play a crucial role in building a healthy, informed, and equitable nation. Okay, so the first article reminds us the school must promote the nutrition, the healthy lifestyles, and the physical activity to prevent the future health crisis. So the second article emphasizes the accurate data and the evidence based policy making are equal important to safeguard the credibility of the government schools and strengthening the public trust. Okay, so ultimately improving the education requires the more classroom and textbooks. So it depends healthy students, reliable institutions, quality data, and the accountable governance. So when the schools nourish both the physical well-being and the intellectual development of children, they become powerful engines of the human capital formation and the nation building. Okay, yes, these are the two articles for today we have seen, and this is the conclusion of concluding both the articles. And I hope everyone liked this video. If you want a clear note of this editorial analysis, do visit our website and download it from there. The link is provided in the description below. And do follow, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily editorial analysis. And do follow our Instagram ID and Telegram ID as well. All the links are provided in the description below. And yes, see you all tomorrow with the another editorial analysis session. Thank you.